an exhibition created by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. You are about to hear the words of American men and women of the U.S. military who encountered the Nazi concentration camps at the end of World War II, as well as those of Holocaust survivors who were liberated by U.S. troops. After arriving at the Nordhausen concentration camp shortly after its liberation, Beatrice Wachter wrote to her husband and described the scene she encountered. That letter was later printed in her local newspaper. This is an excerpt of her letter.
I have seen the most horrible sights that I hope I will never see again as long as I live. We are taking care of men from a German concentration camp. Human wreckage, living skeletons, diseased, infested with lice and maggots, skin and bones. 13, 14, and 15-year-old boys who looked 60 and 70 years old. With hollowed eyes, sunken cheeks, sores all over. It just isn't human. Bodies were all over, headless, no arms, burnt to a crisp. Little children, some babies. A few women, but mostly men. I'm working in a ward with 60 of these men and the stories they tell. They were allowed 3 potatoes and a cup of soup each day. If too weak to work, they weren't fed at all. There were 30 to 50 of them who died each day. They were tied to stakes and beaten. I saw the stakes. They were machine gunned until their bodies were scattered all over the field in small pieces. We saw hands and legs, parts of brains lying all over. It was horrible. I see those rows of bodies, some naked, some with few clothes on, in front of me now. God, how can such conditions exist?
In April 1945, William Scott entered the Buchenwald concentration camp in Germany. He was 22. This is his recollection.
We drove in, and I said, gosh, it's not as bad as they say. It looks just like a regular prison. And we drove around it, some buildings, and I saw all these people milling around, and they were in terrible shape. And it was just like that I realized it was as bad. As a matter of fact, I ended up saying it was worse. And I said, there's no way you can describe it. And I took a few photographs outside, and we were told by some of the survivors that over 30,000 had been killed in a 2-week period, and that the Germans were trying to kill all of them before we got there.
In early May 1945, the 82nd Airborne Division took over the German city of Ludwigslust and liberated the nearby Wöblin concentration camp. Jesse Oxendine entered the camp barracks. This is his recollection.
On the floor, they had some straw, and a few of them had blankets, which was a prized possession. But I walked inside the building, and of course there's dead all in there, and I saw this one man leaning against the wall, just staring straight ahead. And I was going to try to encourage him to go outside, you know. There's so much excitement out there of those that could walk, and here these people were still inside and was unable to move. And I walked over and kind of tapped him on the shoulder. And of course he fell over. He died with his eyes open. But I'd made up my mind then, after seeing all these, so many people lying around, I would never get excited if I ever saw a dead person again, you know.
Victor Weigard's investigation took him to a town near Flossenburg called Nammering. The locals claimed they hadn't seen or heard anything related to Nazi crimes. This is his recollection.
Got back into our jeeps, continued on N14 for about a mile outside of Nammering. Then we got hit with a stench the likes of which I never want to face again. Rotted corpses. We stopped the jeeps We took a look along the edge, both sides of the highway. Fresh mounds of earth just running for maybe 100 yards. The old man got out, pulled the shovel off the rear of the lead jeep, began digging. Colonel began digging. And
Your commanding officer?
yeah, he's now uncovering hands, arms, and faces in 3 feet of soil. The rest of us get out of the jeeps, began digging. Wherever we landed a shovel, there was a body there. And the blood was still oozing from some of them. You could see these were fresh wounds. Their heads were stove in, or their heads were partially blown off, machine gun blasts. At this point, after several hours of this, we could take it no longer. Someone came up with a bright idea. We had radioed back to Third Army, let them know what we had found, and we were given instructions, or at least Colonel Bates, our team commander, his recommendation was approved to round up every man, woman, and child back in that town of Nammering and haul them out and let them see what they didn't see.